Welcome to another week of Brews and Crews. I am your host, Chris Jacobson, and today I have my friend Tim Vodak, who has joined me at the Speakeasy Studio for this week's episode. Tim, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you having me.
Now, you said you brought me something that I haven't had on the podcast yet, and from a lot of our friendship, you're always serving me beer anyways. So this is nothing
true.
weird.
That is true.
So what'd you bring?
Usually I do serve you some beer. Today I brought what from the great state of Wisconsin.
Oh no!
Drink Wisconsinbly canned old-fashions.
Oh, canned old-fashioned. What?
Yeah.
That's sweet. I thought, you told me you were going to bring something. I was expecting beer.
No, I even brought you a 4-pack you can keep. So there you go.
What a guy. What a guy. I keep getting gifts. So, okay, now this is just basically a pre-made Brandy Old-Fashioned, huh?
Correct. So if you've heard of Drink Wisconsinbly, they've done like T-shirts and like koozies, stickers, all these different kitschy things that say Drink Wisconsinbly on it. And then they got into the brandy business, as all good things from Wisconsin start with a good Brandy Old-Fashioned. And then they kind of reverse engineered their Brandy Old-Fashioned from their bar in Milwaukee, and then they made it into a canned old-fashioned. It's only, I think, 4.5% alcohol, pretty low alcohol content. 7%, I'm sorry.
7.
Oh, man. Bad salesman here. But 7% alcohol content. So I always say, depending on how you like your old-fashioned, if you're pouring a heavy pour, it's a little lighter than that. But for somebody like you that golfs, that goes out on the boat, perfect. You don't have to take all the ingredients with you. So
yeah, it even says from basements to beaches and pontoons to parking lots, pour it over ice, sip it straight from the can.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Dude, this is awesome. I didn't even know these existed, so I'm very happy that you brought something different.
They just became legal to sell in Minnesota September 1st of this year. So
cheers,
they're
Tim.
pretty new. Cheers.
Oh my gosh, it tastes like it.
Right? You can taste the bitters, the orange, the sweetness, and the brandy, the best part.
Oh my gosh, you don't taste any alcohol.
No.
I mean, yeah, obviously there's alcohol in it, but just tasting it is just like a normal drink that you would, almost a cinnamony flavor.
Yeah.
I love
the
it.
bitters in there. Yeah.
This is good.
Right?
I was so expecting beer from you. It says cheese curd not included on it.
Yeah, sorry.
Perfect.
I didn't bring any of those. Sorry. Nope.
What, you didn't bring cheese curds for
I know,
us?
right? What the
My
heck?
gosh. Oh, Tim. Well, it's glad to have you here. I know you contacted me a couple months ago and you said, hey, I would love to come on if we got a chance. So here we are with the chance. And as I was telling everyone on the podcast here, you usually serve me some beers because I see you at so many events throughout town. I know if I go to some sort of event, especially if there's a beer tasting or a wine tasting, Tim's going to be there.
Yeah.
And you always are there taking care of me.
Yeah.
One free pour at a time.
Try to. Is a little heavier pour sometimes for you. So
do you work for alcohol distribution or do you just
So my main
volunteer?
9-to-5 job is I work for Benchmark here in Winona,
Okay.
do talent acquisition. But my background was in restaurants. I ran Culver's for 25 years, give or take, here in Winona. My family did.
Okay.
And then bartended for a long time in college. I had a friend that worked at Hy-Vee here in Winona at the liquor store, Pang Carter. And she's like, hey, I know you like to bartend. Would you ever be interested in doing some brand ambassador work for these companies? I was like, yeah, sure, sign me up. So she got me connected with Surly. I've done events for them for the last 2 years. And then this company, Drink Wisconsinbly, they have a little gift shop in the outlet mall in Wisconsin Dells. We went there last year, and I ran into who's my boss basically now for them. And I ran into them there, and I was like, hey, do you ever need any brand ambassadors over in our neck of the woods, La Crosse area? And he's like, yeah. And fast forward, like a year later, I've been doing stuff for them here in Winona, I don't know, about 3 or 4 times right now. So
Now, I've been to that store. It's at the outlet mall in the Dells.
Yep.
And I just thought it was like some sort of Wisconsin souvenir place.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. And I've seen this. I think I saw this at Leinenkugel's. They sold something there, Drink Wisconsinbly. I thought they did. Maybe not.
they partnered with them for a little bit
That's
on
what it
something,
was
yeah.
then. And I just thought it was just a souvenir shop or something like that. I didn't realize it was a brand for alcohol. Well, okay, now I got another question because you keep saying brand ambassador. What does that mean? Because I've seen that, I've heard it, but I don't know what that means.
A brand ambassador basically just means that you're selling that product. So or sampling it out, I guess. So I do, like I said, I do stuff for Surly. I do stuff for Drink Wisconsinbly. I've dabbled in another company called Modern Talent, and that's literally like a multitude of stuff. My wife does stuff for Wine Bow, so she samples out wine at like Hy-Vee. It's just a good little side gig that, you know, you get to have fun with, and sometimes you get to go home with a few leftovers, so It's always fun. So,
do you get compensated for something like that or not?
It depends on the company, I guess, but yeah, you get paid for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So would you just like write to them and say, "Hey, I'd like to be a brand ambassador"? How does it work?
It's more so like who you know, I think.
Okay.
If you know the right people. Like I knew Pang at Hy-Vee, and she kind of got me connected to the right people. So
it's all who you know, huh?
Yeah, it helps when you like are passionate about the brand. Like I like Surly, I like their whole brand. I like Drink Wisconsinbly. You know, my background is sales and marketing, so you can sell, you know, ice to an Eskimo if you're passionate about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So of all those, which one do you do the most of then? Do you do Surly, or do you do this now more, or does it kind of all just
It just kind of depends what's going on. Like we did a couple events this summer with Surly down here in Winona, but it just depends what's going on.
Do you work at the beer tour?
I did the craft beer tour the last 2 years, with Surly.
Okay, you have some fun with that then?
Until it poured down rain this last year, yeah.
Dude, how many years has it been? Like 5 years?
Yeah.
I think it's downpoured at least 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was like extremely, extremely hot the one year. But last year,
yes. It
was like in half an hour to go, and it was just a monsoon, basically.
Yeah, and I couldn't make that one because I think I had I can't remember, birthday party or something I was at.
Sure.
So I couldn't go to that one. It's the first one out of the since they've been here that I haven't been to. And I always have a great time there at those. So are all those people there either brand ambassador or owners usually?
Like the craft beer tour, I think it kind of depends because like that last one we went to for the Affair for Animals, that was put on by Hy-Vee.
Sure.
So some of it was brand ambassadors for companies. I know a lot of it was just Hy-Vee employees that they asked.
Yep. And you're not a Hy-Vee employee?
No.
Nope. You're just helping out?
I just help out where I can, yeah.
Which one? You had Surly this time, didn't you?
Yeah, I was doing Surly at the
Humane
Affair
Society?
for Animals.
Yeah. There was one that I kept coming back for. I can't remember which one it was. It was really good though. I can't remember now. I think it was a newer one that just come out. But you hooked me up. Usually give me a can or two by the time the end of the night happens. Like
I don't remember what we were sampling out of that one, but
gosh, there was I think it was a black and gold can at one point, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
So you got hooked up with Drink Wisconsinbly just by going into the store and saying, "Hey,
yeah,
do you need anyone to do it down this neck of the woods?" And they said,
we exchanged contact information, and a couple months went by, and then my schedule at work kind of picked up, and I wasn't able to do much for him, and then just the stars aligned that they became able to sell in Minnesota, and it works out great. So.
Sure. So, you obviously enjoy this. Is this just kind of like a fun thing like a hobby that you just kind of like to do? Kind of like I'm podcasting. I don't make any money from it myself right now at the moment, but it'd be great if I did someday. But I mean, obviously, you said you had a 9 to 5, and now you're doing this on the back end of weekends because the Affair for Animals is on a Friday. So it's like your weekend didn't start. You were working, but I don't know. That might not even seem like work to you.
No, I mean, it's just kind of just couples with all my like interests. Like I like to socialize with people. I like to, talk up something that you're passionate about. And it's, usually weekends or a few nights. Like next week, possibly right before Christmas, I'm going to be doing brand ambassador work for Drink Wisconsinbly because I'm off my normal job. So
sure. Is there other products that they have? Because I know they had beer, I think. Right.
So Drink Wisconsinbly does the canned old-fashions. They make their own brandy, their own vodka, and they do a canned cocktails as well. So there's an orange, cherry lime, and cranberry apple.
Okay, so they don't have any beer.
No.
Okay, so then when I saw that line of Kugels, they were pairing up for something. Then I
don't remember what that was. It was before
your existence.
Yeah.
So. Very cool. Okay, so I was expecting beer. So that's awesome that this is something that I had no idea about. And then you said that they just started being able to sell it in Minnesota.
Yeah, they got the licensing September 1st to sell it here in Minnesota. So here locally, I know they have these at Hy-Vee, the canned old fashions, and then Swenny at Highway 61 has everything that they have.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you're going to know this question, but do you know what it takes to be able to sell from Wisconsin to Minnesota? Because isn't New Glarus the same way?
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother ball game.
Okay.
I don't know what the stipulations are. I'm sure, it's different states have different rules, but yeah, New Glarus, that's a whole nother ball game because I know they have some sort of licensing agreement that they solely can only sell in Wisconsin.
Sure.
To the point where it's like a crime if you get caught transporting over state lines. So
I've had it on the podcast. Uh-oh.
We didn't sell it, so.
I did not sell it. No, we
No,
drank
you're good.
it.
You're good.
So then, okay, so they just got licensed over here, so now we can actually go buy some.
Yeah.
That's great. Whether you're a Minnesota fan or a Wisconsin fan, it's over here. So now you work your 9 to 5. Then you said you were at Benchmark. What are you
Correct.
doing there?
So I do talent acquisition, fancy word for recruiter.
Talent acquisition.
Yeah.
Nice. That is fancy.
Yeah. It's just a fancy word. It's a up and coming part of industry though, because companies can't handle their own recruiting, so they hire out or they hire people to work for them to find people to fill their jobs.
Is that what they would call a headhunter then?
Not
if they were hiring someone else to do it?
Somewhat. A headhunter is more like you already have a job and I'm going to try to recruit you for this company.
Oh,
This
gotcha.
is more like you come to us and I talk to you and facilitate the relationship.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's fun. I mean, it's like I said, I have a background in sales and marketing, so I'm selling the company to a candidate and I'm selling the candidate to the manager.
Gotcha.
Which goes back to if you're passionate about something, you can sell anything.
Yeah. So you're just kind of weeding out people then.
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
Trying to find the good ones and say, hey, here's the one I believe is the best. Okay, great.
Yeah, here's the person that checks all the boxes for you. You should interview them. You should hire them. And then, yeah.
How long you been
out.
doing that for?
I started in November of 21, so just
Okay.
3 years.
And then what were you doing before that? Because you said you had a background in sales and marketing.
For the longest time, I mean, my parents ran Culvers, and I ran the Culvers up here for them.
Okay.
I did dabble into car sales for a couple of years.
Nah.
Worked at a car dealership back home in southern Wisconsin. But, I mean, I started at Culvers when I was 14, and we sold the restaurant when I was 3 years ago, 37, so.
Okay. So you were there for quite some time.
Yeah.
So you have a very large background in the food industry
Yeah.
then.
If you hear Culver's it's blue, I bleed blue. I mean, I still bleed blue even though I haven't worked there for 3 years. It just, was part of my life.
Yeah. Well, I was just telling someone this past week, and I told him that Tim's coming on the podcast. She goes, "Oh, I love Tim. I used to work at Hy-Vee not Hy-Vee. I'm sorry. I used to work at Culver's when I was in high school." And and she is Ashley Harrison. She was on the podcast, and she goes, "Oh, he's so great." And I worked.
We go
with
way
him.
back.
Yeah, you go way back, and I remember a lot of kids from Hope Lutheran High School, I think, worked there too.
Yeah,
so
pretty much our whole family did. So Amanda's family or Ashley and Amanda and
yeah.
I can't remember the rest of her siblings. Sorry, Ashley, but
Well, Angie was the oldest one. So.
yeah, Angie worked there too. Yeah, there was a number of them. So
That's awesome. Now I know you're part of the community. I think you're very deep into the Winona community, but you said you're from southern Wisconsin originally?
Correct.
Where about?
Platteville, Wisconsin.
Oh, Platteville. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how'd you get over here?
My parents decided. So my mom. Quick story. My mom ran Culver's in Platteville. She wanted to own her own company, own her own business. So she decided, they searched forever to find a place that they could build their own. Winona didn't have a Culver's, and it was kind of something the community wanted in 2000. So they bought the property where it is. They built it. And then I moved up here with them when I was 16, starting in between my sophomore and junior year of high school. So I came up here for that year. And, that's kind of what brought us up to Winona.
So they literally just packed up and said, "Hey, we're moving to Winona because there's a need for a Culver's here."
Yeah, I mean, obviously a little more planning to it, but
Sure. But
yeah,
I mean, that's
much.
uprooting your whole life.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, how'd you take it? Because you're in high school, so you're leaving all your friends.
As you can imagine, I didn't take it that well. I mean, I loved doing the business side of it, but I was 16, 17, a high school junior, and I'm like, Winona was a lot different than Platteville, school-wise, so I was like, I don't know if I want to stick this out. So I turned 18 the summer after my junior year, and I talked to my parents, and I'm like, I'm going to move back to Platteville. My grandma still lived down there. I was 18, so I just rented an apartment by myself as a high school senior, lived on my own, and graduated high school down there. So
Sure. And then you said you got into sales for cars?
yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah. I mean, I went to like most kids did, I decided to go to college because all my friends were doing it, and it just wasn't quite right for me. So I worked for a while at Culver's and bartended for a while, and then I finally went back to school, graduated in 2015. So there was
Sure.
like you say, most if you go to school for 8 years, you should be a doctor. Well, I don't got that degree, but I got a couple of them, so it's all right.
That's good. So did you enjoy selling cars at all, or not
To a point, yeah.
To a point, yeah. I sold cars down in Atlanta, Georgia area for probably 4 months, and I was just sick of it because I didn't know anybody either. And someone comes in off the street, and they're like, "Well, I got an appointment with so and so." I'm like, "Cool, I can't do anything with that." And then there was a slight chance that someone's coming in looking at a car that didn't work with anybody, and I was like, "Oh, hopefully I can get them." And then it was like, not really. So it was, and I was selling Kias. So it was hard to sell other than that they had a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
Right.
So that's what I was selling. I'm like, it was fun. It was fun for the time being. But if someone ever needed, like, they say, "Hey, we need a car because we're doing a dealer trade," and other people didn't want to do it, I'd be like, "Well, I'll do it for like $100." And they go, "Okay, sounds good." And I would drive like 6 hours in a day. I'm like, I'm probably not getting a sale on a Tuesday, so I'll just do your dealer trade and make $100. At least it gets me the food on my table and stuff like that. So that's what I would do, because I remember I'd drive up. One day I drove up in a Kia Soul. I had to do a Kia Soul trade up to Knoxville, Tennessee, and back, and I think it was a 6-hour trip total.
Oh boy!
And I know. I'm like, well, at least I made $100 that day, and I probably wasn't going to sell a car on a Tuesday because nobody's coming in really on Tuesdays to sell cars. But down there in Georgia, it was 7 days a week. Sundays were 12 to 6, but they were open from 9 to 9 on a lot of days. Fridays, Saturdays, you were working 9 to 9. That's 12. Wow. And then I remember one night someone came in about 7 or 8 o'clock at night and bought a used car. I was there till 11 on a Friday, and I had to come back in the next day at 9 o'clock and work another 12 hours.
Oh boy.
And then, you get paid hourly, and then whatever you make on commission, they would just take off of your check once you made a sale because they had to pay for your hourly. I'm like, holy Christ. I'm like, this is just miserable. I was there. I was down there to wrestle, obviously, as you know. I was down there to train. I'm like, I'm not doing any training down here anymore because I'm fully working at this car dealership, which I could do back in Winona anytime I want. So I eventually said, okay, that's enough. I'll work overnights at a hotel, and then I have my days free so I can do training for wrestling and then go on the weekends and wrestle somewhere. So I was just wondering how you enjoyed selling cars.
Yeah, definitely not those long hours. It was a good family dealership. I don't know, somewhere I got, here you go, my water. Got Rundy Chevrolet, Buick GMC. But they have a whole bunch of dealerships. Yeah, they have a whole bunch of cars they are licensed to sell. So, yeah, the dealership I worked at was a Chevy Buick GMC. I think I worked like Tuesday through Friday, 8-ish till 7. And then I worked Saturdays 8 to 2, and that was it.
Wow, 8 to 2 on a Saturday.
I think they changed their hours since then, but yeah, it was a good time.
Okay, so now you're back in Winona here, and I noticed someone told me that you were Volunteer of the Year, and I did research and it's true.
It is true.
So, okay, how does one become Volunteer of the Year in Winona, Minnesota?
I mean, you have to ask the Winona Chamber of Commerce. They're the one who gave me the award, but really, like, you volunteer to, like, help out your community, help other people. You don't volunteer for recognition. I was pretty embarrassed when I got the award, and, like, everybody at Benchmark knew I was going to get it. And they're like, "Oh, you got to come to the chamber banquet." I was like, "Okay, we'll go." And my wife and I went to the banquet, and then, like, they do all the awards, and then they call it Volunteer of the Year, and I'm just like, huh? I was speechless. Didn't help I had oral surgery. I had, like, a tooth removed the week prior. So I was like on pain meds and I couldn't drink or anything, but I was just like speechless. I'm like, what? But I mean, it's just helping out, making Winona better, leaving a legacy, and just helping out people. I mean, there's Winona's 30,000 people. There's 3 colleges. There's, multiple nonprofits. There's people who need help in the community, and you do whatever you can to help. And from, volunteering for. I volunteer for these events to pour alcohol, but it's an event to help the Humane Society, where we got our 2 dogs from. Like the Main Street program I like to volunteer for because I like downtown Winona. There's a lot to do, a lot of cool, restaurants, shops, and just whatever I can do to help bring business to them. This time of year, like Christmas, you want to help out, people who are less fortunate, either like the food shelf or the homeless shelter or Winona Angels program. I mean, whatever. So
Holy smokes. You're part of a lot of things, it sounds like, or at least you've done a lot of things. So now when it comes to that, is there some sort of criteria, or just people get together and vote? And how does your name even get brought up, I guess? Are you part of the chamber?
I'm not well, Benchmark is on the chamber.
Okay.
Or we're part of the chamber. But as far as I know, like the employees, so Christy and Kay and everybody that was there last year, they just kind of got together and picked me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you were speechless.
I was very speechless. I don't know. It just kind of like comes back. I know, you were raised properly. I was raised properly. And, like to say please and thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And just, treat others as you want to be treated. That's just kind of how my grandma and my mom raised me. So, yeah, I just try to do that every day. And I got a 4-year-old. I mean, you got a little kid coming too. So,
that's right.
You got to teach them right and leave a legacy. So hopefully we can both do that.
So did you have to give a speech? Or did they want you to give a speech?
I don't think so. I just went up and shook Christy's hand and said thanks, and that was it. So I don't know. I don't know if she wants a speech. Christy, if you watch this, if you want a speech, I guess I'll give you one.
We can redo that.
A much delayed speech from a year later.
Well, that's awesome. So you named off a bunch of things that you volunteer for. Can you go into detail about some of those? I mean, the Humane Society, we know what that is. That's to help out the animals and stuff. But you were naming some other ones off that I'm not even sure I heard of before. And if anybody else is listening, they may not have heard of before.
I mean, the big thing, I guess, to kind of like backtrack is like, my upbringing and then working at Culver's. Culver's was big on giving back. So when we ran Culver's in town, we did a lot of fundraisers for like the schools. We did stuff for Hope Lutheran. We did stuff for WAPS, for Winona area Catholic schools, for a multitude of stuff. So like doing that was a ton of fun and getting to connect to all these different organizations. But then one thing I always wanted to do when we ran Culver's is I always wanted to join the chamber. And I could never, I was working there, but I wasn't paying the bills per se.
Right.
And I could never get my parents to kind of go for that. So when we sold the restaurant and I knew Benchmark was part of the chamber, I'm like, okay, what do I got to do to get involved? Because I knew there was a lot of positive things to do. So I was just like, I'm bad at saying no, so my wife will attest to that. But, anything anybody's like, hey, do you want to join this? Do you want to help with this? If I can fit in my schedule, usually I'll say yes within reason.
Sure.
So yeah, just anything I could do. Like the Humane Society, I don't volunteer there, but I mean, doing stuff for events that I can help with, I love to do. Both of our dogs came from the Humane Society, so I like to try to help them out where I can. My wife, as you know, works at Merchants Bank. One of her coworkers, Dave, was in the Rotary Club as well.
Oh, I know Dave.
And he asked me to join Rotary, and then I joined Rotary, and then he asked me to be president, so I'm president for next year. There was an election. I ran unopposed, shockingly.
I saw that. Saw that.
Yeah, so I'm president-elect for next year for Rotary, and if anybody knows them, I mean, they do a lot of good in the community. Feed My Starving Children is a ton of fun, and we pack a ton of meals for needy people around the world. So
okay, now for those who don't know what a Rotary Club is, because they're everywhere, what is a Rotary Club? Can you explain? Is it tough to put your finger on one spot?
It's tough to really explain in one kind of blur, but I mean, it just kind of has the same mission that I have. It's like trying to give back to the community, trying to help out, and they just kind of follow their 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? And if it kind of fits in there, it's something you want to be involved with as a Rotarian. So.
And then you talked about you guys are working with Feed My Starving Children.
Yeah.
What is that then? I mean, it kind of seems like it's pretty obvious what it is, but you said you packed a lot of meals. What is packing a lot
they're
of
an
meals
organization. Feed My Starving Children is a big organization that comes down here from the cities. They bring all the supplies basically, and then we have to pack the meals for them, and we get tons of community members to join in to help. The last 2 years, it's been at the high school in the Commons, and it's just a great event. There's 3 shifts, and we pack, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was enough meals to feed 500 kids for a full year. Which,
wow.
That's not that many, but when you think
for
of
a
it,
whole year.
for a whole year.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of cool, and it's just seeing the community get involved for something like that, a project like that is pretty awesome. So.
Sure. So you're now the president-elect coming up.
Correct.
How long is the president good for? Is it 1 year, 4 years? 2 years?
1 year.
1 year. So every year there could be someone new?
Yeah. Unless you're Dave. He was president for 2 years because no one else ran against him, I guess, the last time. So
unopposed.
yeah, he ran unopposed. So
did you run were you wanting to do this? Be the president, or kind of fell into your lap?
all good decisions happen over a beer.
Correct. Every good decision too.
Me and Dave and a few others were sitting at Sliced one night, and he asked me if I wanted to be president, and I said sure. And I kind of expected other people to put their name in the hat. No one else did, and so here I am. But I'm totally fine with it. I'm happy to take the reins. So
what's it going to look like then? What is the job duties then of the president of the Rotary Club? Is there?
It's really just leading all the meetings. So every week they have their weekly meeting.
Oh, it's a weekly meeting.
It's a weekly meeting every Wednesday. So leading that and just kind of keeping everybody, in check for all these committees that we have. So whether it be like the exchange student program or scholarship programs, multitude of stuff. So just kind of keeping everybody on the ball.
So what are some other things you volunteered for? You said Main Street, which is here in Winona, for those who are listening that aren't from Winona. You said you volunteered down for that as well because you enjoy the downtown, which I have been loving the downtown in this last year with all the new things coming around. Some of those things being the new restaurants, the new cocktail bars, stuff like that. It's been really kind of neat coming downtown now. It's got some life to it. But what things have you volunteered then for the downtown? Because you're talking about the Main Street program as well.
Just any event that's going on, I try to have some sort of capacity at. They had all the stuff like swinging in the streets. I try to at least attend one of those if I'm able to. But then, Steamboat Days, I try to get involved with in some capacity. And then Big Muddy Brewing Queue, I was on the planning committee for that. And just trying to keep my finger on the pulse too. So if people ask, hey, what's going on downtown, I can say, hey, go to this event, go to this event.
Sure.
Working in my job, we hire a lot of new people that come into the community. So trying to kind of point them in the right direction, give them the right resources, and if they want to get involved too. Okay.
Is there one event that you do in Winona here that you volunteer for that's just this is exciting? I don't care that it's volunteer. It's just so fun to do. Like you just mentioned Steamboat Days, Big Muddy Brewing Queue. That's been pretty cool lately. Obviously, you're kind of doing brand ambassador for the beer tour and stuff, the swinging in the streets for the downtown. Is there one that's I do this one, and it's so fun because of just fill in the blank? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I guess the other thing I didn't mention for volunteering is NAMI, so National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Okay.
So that was one big thing we did when we ran Culver's is we were really passionate about mental health and suicide awareness and that kind of stuff. And then when we sold the restaurant, we didn't have a capacity to kind of get involved with that. So my mom and I both reached out to some people and we found out about the NAMI chapter here in Winona. And it was perfect timing. The lady who ran it, Helen Newell, was kind of getting to an age where she wasn't able to do as much as she liked. So she asked my mom to kind of take over. And so my mom took over NAMI. She's the president of that. But we do a lot of different events for that. And it's awesome to see people that you can help. And just, if they need support, mental health support, and sometimes they just want to listen to somebody. They want somebody to listen to them. Sometimes they're just not sure where to turn. Those are the best events. We've done tabling events. Engage Winona put on an event at Peter's Beer Garden this summer where we had parents come in and people in the community come in. They're hey, I have a kid that's going through this. They're bipolar. What do I do? Where should I turn? And we've been able to help these people and kind of give them the resources and see hopefully they've improved. And that's kind of the most positive thing is when you see an improvement in somebody's mental health.
Sure. So what does it stand for then again? I think you said what it was.
National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Okay, so and then is that it's a national organization? Okay, because that's something I've never even heard of, but I know it's a big deal out there especially children nowadays going through mental illnesses and stuff like that and challenges. It's awesome. I didn't even know that existed. That's awesome to hear that.
Yeah, so we do a couple different support groups on a weekly support group on Monday nights, and then there's a monthly support group that's more so for families if they have a family member going through something. But yeah, it's really beneficial and it's definitely needed. As working in education, when What's the statistic? There's like 50% of kids 8 through 15 have some sort of mental illness, but they're afraid to report it or afraid to act on it, or they're not getting any treatment because there's such a stigma around mental illnesses. So.
Sure. Yeah, you could be embarrassed too.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of neat that you do all these things, and obviously you're a genuine dude. You're just a genuine dude that likes to help out his community, and that's what you need around a community, especially a small one like us. So that's awesome. What's your role at the Big Muddy Brewing Queue? Because that has been something that is just kind of in the last few years has just been like it's been taken off, especially since they redid the levee down there. Now you have the band set up there. You got the whole eating contest. It's been pretty fun, and people come down there. It's so casual too, which is very fun. It's not like, you know, Steamboat Days, you go there, you got the beer tent. Like it could be overwhelming for someone that doesn't want to be around loud music and a ton of people. There's a band up there, and come and go as you please. There's vendors here, there's vendors over there, so it's kind of spread out. What's your involvement in that?
2 years ago, I think I just signed up to volunteer, and I worked in the chamber trailer. And then this last year, they asked me to kind of help out with the planning. And so it was me and, Paul and a handful of other people from the community kind of helping out with the planning stages, just making sure everything kind of worked out and the kind of lineups and just how everything was set up on the levee. So we met monthly basically, and then kind of a little more frequently once it got closer. And then the day of, I just helped out. I don't even remember what I did. I think I worked in the chamber trailer. I worked up on the levee for a bit, and it's just fun. And it was beautiful weather too.
Oh, I know. A lot of background stuff you do though that people don't even see. They just think it all. I know this because I have to run basketball tournaments and stuff for the school. So you see it after it's all done. You're like, oh, this came out really nice. You don't realize all the planning there is that's behind it, because sometimes it looks like, oh, that doesn't look that hard, when really it doesn't look that hard because we work so hard behind the scenes.
Yep, exactly.
So that's awesome. Now I got a question for you, but going back to Culver's, because I remember going in there and there was a motorcycle in there. Hold on, where'd that go?
The motorcycle is in my parents' garage.
That was a beautiful bike in there.
Yeah. So the new owners, I don't know if there was like talks of wanting to buy it. I don't really remember. Wasn't part of that. But yeah, so the bike came from Culver's. Every year would give a scholarship out, or number of scholarships out as a franchise to college students or incoming college students. And I'm trying to think. So it was the Culver's 20th anniversary, let's say. Was it 2000? No. 25 anniversary. I'm going to get it wrong, but whatever. It coincided with Harley's anniversary, 100-year anniversary. So maybe you know that better.
Okay, so Harley was, Harley came out in 1903.
Mm-hmm.
So 2003 would have been their 100-year. And I saw that bike in there, and I feel like it had some sort of anniversary date on it, but I don't know what it was for.
So I think it was 2013.
Could have been that then. That would make more sense.
So 2000.
That'd be the 110th year.
2014. But whatever it was, it coincided with Culver's anniversary and Harley's anniversary.
Okay.
So they put it up for auction, like an online auction, and all the proceeds went to this Culver Scholarship Foundation. And my parents were lucky enough, and they actually won it. So I don't remember the exact price they paid for it. I won't divvy that out. But yeah, they were just coincided. They won it the 1 year. And the next year, they had to do a full remodel because Culver's had stipulations. You had to reinvest every so many years. So they remodeled their dining room, and they decided to put that one little thing in there to put the motorcycle in. I think the motorcycle still has 12 or 13 miles. We took in a couple Steamboat Days parades. That's probably about the only mileage. But it sits in my parents' garage all covered up. I don't know.
Is it custom to the call? Is it like a one-off? Or do they make multiple of these for different Culvers?
It's a one of a kind.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it?
I don't know. Yeah, you'll have to ask my stepdad.
Oh man, that was a sweet looking bike. It had such good colors to it too. And I every time I go in there, I'd look at it. I'm like, that's a neat looking bike in there. But I'm like, first of all, how to get in there? How'd you get it up into the display?
I think, one of those glass walls came off, and they just ramped it up there.
No kidding.
I was there when we took it out. I wasn't there when we put it in, but
okay.
Yeah.
So the bike went along with you guys when you guys sold it off.
Yeah, and I talked to the new owners, and I know they're doing a remodel. I think like next year. So they're going to take that display case out, and I'm assuming put more seating or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they could have just done 120th year.
Right.
That would have been good. Because
Yeah.
2023.
And it's autographed too by the owners of Culver's, or the founders of Culver's, Craig and Lee Culver, and then it's autographed by 2 of the Harley descendants.
Oh no, that's even better. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That makes it like
You didn't
even
read
better.
the sign apparently every time you
I
went in.
did read the sign, and I thought I only saw the Culver's people
Yeah.
on there. I didn't realize. Oh, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Anyways, I was like bikes, dude.
Right?
I was like bikes. So that always caught my eye when I walked in there. Okay. So now you're saying that you're a father.
Correct?
Yeah, and you said you could give me some fatherly advice.
Oh man.
Well, what you say 4-year-old you have?
Yeah, Winston's 4.
Winston's 4. Is that the only child you got?
Correct.
Okay. How's the first 4 years going?
Enjoy the first 2 years, because after that, oh man, watch out. I mean, it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome seeing a little version of yourself that, does all these hilarious things, and I don't know, it changes you as a person being a dad, or it even changes the people around you. My parents, they've changed tremendously since being a grandma and grandpa. I'm assuming Rich is going to transform into the greatest grandpa in the world. I don't know, hopefully.
Well, my dad loves kids.
So, yeah,
obviously, my mom does too. He wants to get her a little car bed in here. I said, what a great thing to do, because then when she wants to clunk out,
Yeah.
she can go lay in her car. And I said, well, maybe I can put some underglow on it or something. That'd be kind of cool. But it'd be so neat just to have a little car bed here, and when she's ready to clunk out, because we coming up next week. Well, actually, it'll be this Wednesday when people hear this, but when we have our Christmas party down here and stuff like that. So it'd be great when she's older and she can just go clunk out in her bed, and when she's tired and don't have to worry about not having a bed, and it goes with a theme in here. So.
Right. Yeah. First 2 years were great. I mean, our kid slept through the night pretty quickly. Nice. Slept in his own bed really good, and pretty well behaved, and since then, since he was 2, he doesn't always like to sleep in his own bed. And honestly, the last year, there's Jekyll and Hyde, doesn't you see that kid throwing a fit in the store, and you're always oh, that's never gonna be my kid. It's gonna be your kid eventually. It's gonna happen, unless you're one of those parents who are I'm never taking my kid to a store or restaurant ever, because there's parents like that too. But
sure,
as there's whatever everyone says, there's no book to parenting. There literally isn't, because every kid is completely different. I mean, there's so many phrases you say to your kid, you're just I'm never going to have to say this. And then you're hey, don't put your hand in the urinal. Hey, don't pick up the urinal mitt. Hey, don't put your straw in that hole in the ground and then pick it up and use it. All these things you never thought you'd have to say, here you are.
Oh, man. Don't touch the urinal mat. That's great. Well,
Yeah.
I suppose it's right at eye level. So this looks great. It smells good too, kind of ish.
Yeah, there's so many things though, but there's all those negative things, but then there's all those positive things where, your kid says something that's just hilarious, just makes you bust a gut, or he likes to watch old cartoons that I watched when I was a kid, like Tom and Jerry cartoons,
Sure.
And he just laughs hysterically at, or the things that he can tell you, or he'll tell you a story. I'm oh, how was daycare today? He's oh, Big Harlan did this, and he'll go into a big rant about one of the kids at daycare. And sorry, Gavin and Christy, if you're watching this, but it's hilarious, the stuff they do. So I mean, it's always the good outweighs the bad, but just be prepared for those really big highs and really big lows as a parent. So
You know what I used to watch when I was little? I used to watch Popeye.
Yeah.
I love Popeye, and that's why I got into spinach, because I saw the muscles grow with spinach. And so my grandpa, I always watched at his house for the most part. He had a garden, so I'd go out and just pick the spinach out and just keep eating it, because it didn't taste great. Don't get me wrong.
little dirt.
Little dirt on it too, yep. But no big deal though. I was well, I want big muscles like Popeye, so just keep eating spinach is all I thought. And I ended up liking spinach, and I was one of the few kids that ever liked spinach. But I would still eat it. I don't like it out of a can. That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's
But
gross.
you get it to me out of out of a garden or something, or put it on a sandwich. I love spinach, so that's one thing I picked up from old school cartoons too.
There you go.
However, mine were in color. I didn't watch the black and white Popeye. I don't believe so.
No, I don't think I did either.
But that was one of my favorites. So
Nice.
now what's the biggest challenge in the first year of having a child? That's a tough one,
That is a tough
huh?
one.
Yeah.
Got to make you remember back
4 years ago.
You're going to luck out. We had our kid during COVID, so that was a struggle. That was tough because it's like you couldn't have visitors and like,
Oh, sure.
it was kind of weird. It was definitely a different experience. But I would say the toughest one is just getting used to like a sleep schedule, because the baby's going to be up certain hours of the night and like, just hopefully you like coffee. Because if not, you're going to start drinking.
I like energy drinks.
Okay, perfect. You'll be set. Like, I don't know how our parents got through it with only coffee. If you don't like coffee, how'd you stay awake? I don't know, but
Four Locos.
yeah. But oh man, honestly, that was like the toughest part in that first batch. And I mean, it's good. Hopefully, like, you have a good schedule off of work, and hopefully your wife has a good schedule off of work for, maternity leave and stuff. I mean, some people don't have that luxury, and luckily we did for both of my job and her job. So I think she took off June through August. She had all summer off, and I had like a whole month off, so it worked out good.
Yeah, and actually, when was your baby
Winston
born?
was born in June.
June, and our
Beginning of June too. So
and our girl's at the end of May.
yeah.
So for school, I'm off for that.
Right.
Obviously, real estate, you never know when that's going to be.
Right.
So there'll be about the first 3-ish months off, and then that'll be good to get acclimated, and then she'll have some maternity leave as well. Hopefully, I don't know, 6 weeks I think is the norm. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
6
yeah,
weeks is
but
pretty
at least
normal.
I'll be there for if she does have to, because she works from home anyway, so
Yeah.
no big deal. But at least I'll be there to change diapers or feed or whatever the heck it's got to be.
Yeah.
So that is nice that it's not going to be like in the middle of work, because I don't know how much males get off for maternity leave if they do at all.
Not much.
Not much, if
Depends
at all.
on the job. Like,
Yeah.
Like Benchmark, if we have another kid, Benchmark has some pretty good time off for parental leave, but it's not, it's not like other countries where like, in like Europe, you can get like a whole year off, it seems like.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
How do they pay the bills?
Different culture.
Different culture, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure. So sleep schedule. I got to get on that, huh?
I'm sure there's a multitude of other things, but that's the one that comes to mind, honestly.
That's the one that I was thinking about, though, the
Yeah.
most anyways, is like, how's sleeping going to work here? Because I'm a pretty light sleeper, so I guess I'll hear the baby at all times. But that was one thing. I'm like, how tired am I going to be for the first few months?
Yeah.
I think if I get past year 1, that'll be the best.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it worked out good. Like, Winston would be up, like, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I don't know, I was always one that I wanted, and I still am, like, I want to get up and help wherever I can. So I'd get up the same time she would get up, and, we'd both be up helping and kind of tag teaming whatever his needs were. I think that's super key, is, like, raising a kid is, like, co-parenting. Like,
Yeah.
every parent should get 50-50. I feel awful for those, like, moms that are out there and doing, like, 100% of the work, and the dad just, whatever, just,
Here's some money.
yeah, pretty much. Like,
Here's some money.
like, you have a part of this kid's life, so, help out.
Well, the one thing we thought we were going to have a boy because of the fact that she was doing all this research about.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, well, this wife still says this, that, and the other thing. And so she was really thinking, oh, it's going to be a boy. This is going to be a boy. So we had boy names picked out and all that kind of stuff. Turns out I go, you know what? Every time I think it's going to be one thing, it's something the opposite,
Yeah.
and it's a girl. And I'm like, you know what? I get all these new challenges now. I get to, I mean, if she's into sports, fantastic, but she might be into totally different things. Like, maybe she's into doing band or lessons or music, or maybe she's into dancing or theater. I'm like, those excite me because I'm into that kind of stuff now too. I mean, I love sports, don't get me wrong, but I've always, once I got into wrestling, I realized how much I like to do acting and theater type stuff because it's just fun. And then obviously being in front of a camera and doing this has been amazing too. I'm like, you know what? All these new challenges are going to be so much, maybe even more fun, because you kind of know what to expect when I would have a boy. He's going to be probably like me, but who knows what the girl's going to be like. So I'm like, you know what? As much as we thought it was going to be a boy, I think these challenges for a girl is going to be amazing. So I don't know. How is it like raising a little boy, though? Oh, gosh, just a laugh. I love it.
I don't know. It's just awkward at times. I don't know if it's because he's like me or because he's like Molly, but I mean, like, he'll, we go out to a store or whatever, and he has to go to the bathroom. He hasn't quite understood how to, like, not pull everything down, but
No,
he wants to
he's
use the urinal.
He's asserting dominance at the urinal.
Yeah, he literally drops trow, everything, bare butt at the urinal. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But then when you're done, pull your pants up there. No, he like, pants around the ankles, shimmying over to the sink. I'm like, oh, dude.
This is not home.
No. And I'm like, we're in Walmart and somebody's like looking at him. I'm like, I'm sorry. And usually it's some dad. He's like, it's okay. I have kids too, But, yeah.
He's just letting it all hang out.
You're going to luck out with the potty training, man, because, it's not a fire hose. Like,
yeah.
That's the worst thing. Sorry, Winston, if you watch us down the road, but that's the worst thing with him. It's like, it's 0 to 60. There's no middle ground. So it's like if he has to go to the bathroom, he has to go. And it's not so bad, but it used to literally just be like an unkinked fire hose and just, which was good if he used the urinal.
That's great. At home, it wasn't so good.
Puppy pads came in handy.
No way, puppy pads.
Puppy pads. You lay them like all over your bathroom floor, or you lay them underneath like the kiddie toilet, which might work out for a girl too. I don't know, but
well, she's just gonna sit the whole time, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's I never even thought about that. That's hilarious.
So we'd buy the big puppy pads, lay them underneath the toilet, and then if they got wet, so be it. We just throw them away. Because literally like every day you're cleaning the bathroom, and there's like. Our bathroom smelled like a nursing home.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh, man. Well, maybe you should have got some of those pads for the urinal and stuck them around.
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys. That's hilarious. So do you ever look at your little boy and say, I used to do that, or that's one of my traits, I can see that? Or maybe you even see it out of Molly's, your wife's. Do you ever see him do something, or maybe even look a certain way or laugh a certain way? Because sometimes I can catch myself. When I'll say a joke, I can tell I kind of laugh like my dad does. Yeah. I tell jokes like he does. And I've been told I do the same thing.
He does two things. If he doesn't get his way, say, for instance, like most days we pick him up from daycare. He says, can we go to Quick Trip or can we go to Nate and Allie's? Or his new thing is, can we go to Pizza Ranch or the big Pizza Ranch because he wants to play Mario Kart there.
Of course. Why would you not? My wife wants to go in there. The fun zone.
Exactly.
You like to play the quarter game, though, where you slide the quarters down and it pushes the thing
gambling
around?
For kids. It's great.
Yeah, and adult kids.
Yeah. But if he doesn't get his way, he stomps his foot. He just stops. And even before he was born, my sister-in-law would always make fun of my wife for doing that when she was a kid. So the first time he did that, I'm like, oh, no. Like, look at Molly. He's doing what you did. And she's like, sorry. But so he'll stomp his feet. But the other thing he does, and I don't know why he picked it up, if it's like a sensory thing. I don't think you can do it. I can't do it. But he folds the top part of his ear, tucks it into like right here, and it stays shut.
Oh, yeah. Kids could do that. I remember back in the day.
I've never seen it. And he does it all the time.
I can't do it either. It doesn't
but
say.
I was like, where did he get this from? And then my wife, she, when she has long hair, it's usually down over her ears. And she tried it, and she could do it.
Oh.
And I'm like, did you do that when you were a kid? And she's like, I don't think so, but he does it all the time still. And it's, if no one sees it, if like you're in a store and somebody's like, is he okay? Yeah, it's just his
it's cauliflower ear.
It's just the ear thing. I don't know. He does it with both ears. He used to be able to tuck the bottom part in too, but.
Do you remember the kids that used to be able to flip their eyelids inside out?
Oh, that's creepy. No.
You don't remember?
Uh-uh.
Oh my gosh, kids! I remember they flip their eyelids out, and then you just see the reds underneath.
Oh, creepy.
It was kind of creepy looking, but I could never do that, and I was like, that's just kind of weird. But that's one of those traits, I guess. I don't know.
Kids do weird stuff.
They do. They still do. They do weird stuff still these days. Yeah. So that's kind of neat though that you see that kind of stuff in your child. Now, does he look like one or the other of you?
I think he looks like a mix of us.
A mix?
Yeah.
There's some kids that are so distinguished, you can tell, oh, that's their kid. They look just like him.
Yeah, one of my buddies from high school sent me a Christmas card, and he has 6 kids. Yeah, 6 kids.
Oh, he's got an NBA team with one on the bench.
Yeah. And there's like 3 of his kids, 2 of the boys and 1 daughter, that literally look like he did when he was a kid growing up, like to a T. And it's funny. I'm like, oh, I showed my mom, even without showing the name. I said, whose Christmas card is this? And she's like, oh, it's Tim Turba's. I was like, yep.
Knew exactly who it was. Yeah. That's awesome. So when you were starting to parent, was there one thing that you did really good at and one thing Molly did really good at? And you're like, she's got that and I got this because I'm just way better at that than she is, and she's way better at this than I am?
She has a stronger stomach. So if there was any bowel movements that were not contained, we'll say she could clean those up a little better. I'm usually one that would like something smells. I'm just, you know, she'll attest to that. So she was really good at that. And then I don't know. I'm just entertaining, I guess. I don't know. So I was better at entertaining him.
Sure.
I don't know. I can't think of anything offhand, but yeah, she definitely has the stronger stomach for cleaning up stuff. Or, you know, one of those times you've seen the story where like, or the meme, like, did you go poop? And they turn around and it looks like there's a huge, like, you know, something in their diaper, and they're like, no, I didn't go. Yeah. Like, I could never do those either. Ugh.
So one thing my wife always says that I'm really good at with kids, because obviously she sees it when I'm teaching. Yeah. She says that I have a lot of patience with children because she's also got a niece and a nephew. Granted, her niece is now 18, but the nephew is now 10 and a half years old. And he's basically been in my life since day one, because when we first started dating, he was born literally a month later. And so she always said I had really good patience. So I'm hoping that stays true as we do this process of raising a child, because that's one thing I sometimes think I don't have, but she says otherwise. So that's,
you work in education, I would assume you have pretty good patience.
Yeah, I have a lot of patience with the older kids. The younger kids, they get on my nerves. I don't know. So that's why I'm hoping that this stays true. And maybe because it would be my child to be a little different. I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall see, because it's going to be a whole different lifestyle change, my mom says. So I'm like, yep, and I'm sure it will be, and I look forward to that as well. Yeah. So now, does your wife do a lot of volunteering with you? Because I always notice that she's at most of the events that you're at, she is right next to you all the time.
Yeah, she likes to help out in the community as best as she can. I mean, it's she does a few things with like the wine sampling. You know, working at Merchants. Merchants is a big, you know, on giving back to the community. So she does a lot with them. She's helped out with like 10 Days of Giving a lot in the past. She took on a new role at the bank. It's not as, you know, she's still pretty new to it, I guess. So it's not as flexible on the schedule to do stuff. But she did Meals on Wheels, I know, and I think she still does a little bit with that. But she lets me do stuff out in the community and watches our kid. And when the both of us are out, it's helpful. My parents still live in town, so they'll babysit. So
yeah, okay, that's awesome. So as we're starting to wind down here, I want to know a little bit more about Tim, the not at work, not the dad, not the volunteer. What does Tim like to do outside when he does have? Because it doesn't sound like you have any free time, but when you do have free time, what are the interests that you're into?
I don't know. We live in a smaller house, and our yard is pretty small, but I found probably in the last, 5 years, you know, I really like to be outside at our house. So, you know, if it's gardening, just doing yard work, I always think of yard work as work, or some people might think of it as work, but I really like to mow the lawn and, you know, do some weeding, tried to plant stuff. Like trying to grow a vegetable is kind of, I don't know, really fulfilling, because it's like you plant something and it actually like turns out and grows and doesn't just die. I wouldn't say I have a green thumb, but I don't have a black thumb, so I like doing that. And in the winter time, like shoveling snow, I actually like to do. You know, it's a good workout, and it's just nice to get outside. I don't know. I like to have a few cocktails every now and again.
Sure.
We do a lot of like wine and beer sampling.
Oh, you go to some of those? You go to some of the like beer tours, and the ones that you're not working at, you go to some of those?
Yeah.
Awesome. Which ones do you go to?
The most recent one I did, like a brewery tour, was Coors. We were out in Colorado in November and did the Coors brewery tour. But I've done like Budweiser. I've done a lot of the big ones. But then like craft breweries, like you said, New Glarus is a lot of fun. We did that for my bachelor party in 2016. Yeah, 2016. But yeah, any of that stuff is kind of fun. Going to El Maro, there's a little winery we like back home called Spurgeon Winery in Highland, Wisconsin. Little like, teeny tiny winery, but it's Molly's favorite wine. It's honestly like my favorite wine. They make oh geez, you're gonna kill me for not remembering the name. But they make a. I can't think of it.
I won't kill you because I don't know.
I know, but Molly will kill me.
Molly's
She'll be like, I
gonna-
can't believe you can't think of it.
Earplugs.
But they make a winter spice or a Halloween spice wine from their one wine, Ruby Lady, and it's just awesome. It tastes like a mulled wine in a bottle. So good. And I never drank wine until like we got together. But yeah, that kind of stuff I like doing. And then like traveling to see my friends. I have one friend back home in Wisconsin he's really good at planning stuff. So he'll plan different events and like we'll all get together and hang out. So, and then we have like another friend that lives out in Colorado now, and he planned like him and his wife planned. So we all went out there in November. There was 9 of us in total that went out to Colorado and all hung out for a weekend. So it was fun.
Do you like when you go to these places? You said you kind of get into wine now. As I can deal with wine. Basically, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go to a winery, I'm like, oh, I can find something I like, but it's not my first choice.
Yeah.
If you had to go to a brewery, winery, distillery, which one are you picking?
If they only exclusively sold like one type,
Yep.
I would say a brewery probably, just because if it was a brewery like 20 years ago, no way, because everything was going to be like really cut and dry, like one flavor.
Sure.
But now there's so many different options. Most breweries you go to, like you go to Two Fathoms, they have, their normal kind of, your beers, but then they always have something a little kind of out there that you can try. They have like the seltzers now.
Yep.
A lot of breweries are getting into, so you can try that if you're not feeling beer. Yeah, I would say a brewery.
That's what I would go with too. I like the breweries. I like the atmosphere on most of them. There's some of them you go into, they seem very commercialized, which that's great too.
Yeah.
Or there's some of them that you go into, like you go into Two Fathoms or something like that. Or another one I like to go to is Sylvan in Lanesboro, and they got character to them. They have history in them, which is the neat thing about some of them too. So I would have to choose that as well. I like those kinds of things. Breweries are my number one. I like to drive there, motorcycle there, whatever it is, but you can only have like a little taster. Yeah. Because otherwise you shouldn't be driving.
Right.
Or riding a
and
bike
some of
for
them
that.
are a little heavier too. Like if you're drinking an IPA or a stout and it's like 13-14%, like, yeah, it knocks you on your butt.
Oh, no kidding. And then they're like, that's like a wine right there, but wines only get like 6-ounce pours, not 16-ounce pours.
Right.
So yeah, that's great. So you like to do yard work. Do you have the dad shoes then? Do you have the New Balances for your yard work?
No.
What?
I have gotten into like wearing a tank top, my Uncle Steve always wore tank tops, and I'm like, I should wear tank tops, and he'd do yard work in them. I'm like, I should get a tank top. So I got a nice Mario, like made in the 80s tank top.
Yeah.
But I think for shoes, I don't know. I just wear whatever. Funny story about yard work though. So here you go. This one will be a good one. So we have the 2 dogs, right? We have a dog. Both of them are from the Humane Society. Well, one of the dog was being a little jerk and got out one day when I was doing yard work. We have like backyards all fenced in, but he got out of like the screen door. And I'm in a tank top and athletic shorts. I think I had shoes on. Yeah, I had shoes on because I was doing yard work. He gets across the street. Mind you, he's a 70-pound like blue heeler mix. He's not small, but he's not huge. No leash though. So I'm like, okay, Edgar, come on. Come on, let's get home. He won't listen to me. The neighbor across the street, she's like, oh, do you need help? I was like, no, I'll get him. So I pick him up and I put it like pretty much like a baby. So his hind legs are here. His front legs are on my shoulders. I had a tank top on because he scratched the crap out of my shoulders. Well, he's all pissed at me that I'm lifting him up. He starts kicking his back feet. My shorts fall down. My shorts are on my ankles. I had boxers on. Shorts are on my ankles. And the neighbor's sitting there watching me laughing. And I'm like, that's fine. So I just shimmy across the street with my 70-pound dog over my shoulder and get him in the house. And luckily, we live on a very quiet street.
So you and Winston had the same experience. You pulled your pants down. Well, actually, you didn't. Your dog did, right down to your ankles.
Yeah. I text Molly, and I was like, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. And I was like, oh, man.
So there you are, shimmying across the street, just like your son.
Yeah.
Shimmying across the bathroom.
Oh, man. So there you go.
That's great.
Yeah.
What kind of vegetables you grow? Or which ones actually... Okay, which ones do you grow? And then which one have you liked to grow the most? So you're like, ooh, that came out really well.
Cucumbers.
All right.
Because they literally like took over. Winston helped plant. So what did he plant? He planted like sugar snap peas, and like I love those. Like
So
like
do
you're
I.
talking about the spinach, eating them right out of the garden, the sugar snap peas.
Oh, I love those too.
But he planted them, so there were some over here, some over there. So they're all over the place. And then we planted just, I think, like mixed greens and grape tomatoes. And I don't know, the cucumbers turned out the best because you can use them for a multitude of stuff. You know, like we just eat them up, like slice them up. We'd make homemade tzatziki sauce with them, make pickles with them. You know, you can use them for a multitude of stuff. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Tim, is there any more you'd like to add? Anything about Tim that we should know?
I would like to gift you one more thing.
Oh, you got a gift for me. I love it. What have we here? Is it the motorcycle?
It is not the motorcycle. So I have some more Drink Wisconsinbly stuff.
All right, Drink Wisconsinbly.
Some stickers, some koozies.
Oh,
and this
dude,
is
these go right on my beer cooler for the boat.
There you go.
Yep, we love
some
these.
coasters,
Oh, coasters.
and then a koozie. As you know, Wisconsin, jump around. So something new to jump around about. Drink Wisconsinbly.
What does that mean? Something new to jump around. What's that?
Do you not know Jump Around by?
I know crisscross jump around. Yeah. Is this like a theme song that Wisconsin has now? Or is it for the Badgers?
Yeah, it's like the Badgers.
Oh, see, I don't watch Badger football, so
Between
I'm
third
sorry.
and fourth quarter, they always play Jump Around.
No kidding. Okay, so now that makes sense. So something new to jump around to, and that is the vodka cocktails. And we have ourselves these. Dude, these taste just like old fashions.
Right? And I got a T-shirt for you.
Oh, and a T-shirt.
So it's the same shirt I have on. So
Oh, nice.
a quick story about educators. So this phrase that's on this shirt, it's a great day to have a great day.
Yep.
I had a high school soccer coach say this to me. This would have been 21 years ago, 2002, and it stuck with me ever since then. So, you know, about positive words of affirmation, you know, like whatever you want to say to kind of get yourself amped up for the day. I say this phrase to myself almost every day. It's a great day to have a great day.
Yep.
Even if it's raining, it's stormy out, it's still a great day to have a great day. You're here, people care about you. And I kind of like use this as like for mental health too.
Sure.
So hopefully you're a large.
I'll make it work.
There you
And
go.
it even says Vodak on it. So you made these yourself?
I did not make those. Jose Pelez made the.
No, I mean like you came up with the idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So someone obviously made the shirts for you,
Yeah.
but this is your idea.
Yeah.
I thought it was a brand when you were giving me this. Like this is something. Okay, that's awesome.
So, yeah, my high school soccer coach, Matt Callahan, would always say that. And I always
It's a great day to
thank
have a
him
great
for
day.
saying that.
Sure.
And then this last year, I asked Jose to make stickers so I could like hand out stickers to people at like schools and stuff. So he made stickers. And then Corey Tomish made these shirts for me. So
Well, that's awesome. You know, one thing, going back to what you said, every day you say, it's a great day to make and have a great day. I always tell my students when it's a bad day, they might be having a bad day. I say, wake up and say, I get to do this rather than I have to do this or I gotta go do this. Because I said, there's someone out there that is thinking to themselves, they wish they were in your shoes.
Yep.
They could be mentally handicapped or they could be physically handicapped that wish they could go do whatever that is that you're going to do that you may not want to do or you may not love to do. So I always say, tell yourself, I get to go do that, because that's what I do with podcasting. Every time I'm like, well, I might be a little tired today, but I get to go do this because I absolutely love it. That's for one thing. But also there's someone in my shoes that probably wishes they could do something
exactly
as to whatever you're doing or I'm doing or anybody else is doing. So this is actually an awesome shirt. I love this. It's a good idea. And I didn't know it was yours. I just thought it was like a
I just
brand.
got them. Corey just sent them to me this week. So I was like, I'm going to
great.
wear one today and I'll give you one. So
Well, thank you very much, Tim. This is awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and bringing us some Brandy Old-Fashions, because this is the easiest way to have a Brandy Old-Fashioned, so we don't have to get all the ingredients and mix them all together. I had a guy come on here to make Old Fashions one time back in the spring, and we had all these different ingredients, but this is just an all-in-one deal.
it'll work good for the boat.
Oh, dude, yes. Well, these will be gone before the boat ever happens. These will be gone probably by Christmas, because I'm going to give some to some friends that like some Old Fashions, because I know I have some. I think my mom and my dad will like to have a taste of this, because my grandma loved Old Fashions, and I like Old Fashions as well. And my mom always says, I think you get your taste from your grandma, because she always liked the Brandy Old-Fashioned as well with her dinner. So this tastes darn near the same thing except without the ice. So I love that. But anyways, Tim, I want to thank you for coming on one more time. It is a great day to have a great day. I will agree with that. And for all of those people out there listening, you can subscribe or you can like or comment or leave a 5-star review on any streaming platform that has podcast. Or if you want to see Tim and I having a lovely time with our Brandy Old Fashions, you can go on YouTube and actually watch us, because we're beautiful. But this has been another episode of Brews and Crews, and I want to thank Tim one more time by giving him one big cheers before we head out.
Man.
Have a great week.